Hi, everybody. Glad you could join us, and we'll give everybody a second here to get logged in, and we will begin shortly. Again, we're just giving people a couple of minutes to get logged in here, and we will begin our webinar in just a second. Okay, it is 10:02, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, we want to welcome you this morning. Congratulations on your recent award of a DIR Telecom contract. And this webinar is for covering vendor reporting requirements on your new DIR contract. So before we begin, my name's Tom Hay. I'm part of the Hub Outreach and Training team here at DIR. We just want to cover a couple of quick housekeeping items. Reminder to, first of all, if you can hear us clearly, would you please raise your hand? Let us know that you can hear us clearly and that we have a good connection with you this morning. Awesome. Thank you. See several hands going up. Appreciate that. Reminder to open the Q&A box on your control panel and put your questions in that box. And we are monitoring that, and we will take time to answer those as we go through our presentation with you today. That reminder, don't use the chat function for questions. Sometimes they can get lost in there. So use the Q&A box. A copy of this presentation will be available after our webinar ends today, so we will be sure to forward that to all the attendees. So our agenda today, items we're going to cover will include, we'll do some welcoming and introductions. We'll cover the hub requirements of your newly awarded DIR contract. We will cover the DIR portal and reporting access. We will cover the vendor sales reporting and payment requirements. We'll give you some contact information to get a hold of us if you have any questions or concerns. And then again, please put questions in the Q&A box as we go along today, and we will take some time to get those answered for you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brianna Ballinger to discuss your hub reporting requirements.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Ballinger. I am a hub reporting coordinator with DIR. Today, we are going to talk about your hub subcontracting plan that is attached to your contract and keeping that up to date and current along with your progress assessment reports that are required. Every contract has an HSP out there that is included in your contract documents on your contract page. You may have not completed this form, but someone within your company has submitted it and it has been approved. You are required to keep that up to date. What that means, depending on your type of contract, you cannot utilize any subcontractors or resellers unless those have been included on that HSP and submitted to DIR Hub office for a review and approval. Until we approve that submission of that updated HSP, you are not allowed to use those subcontractors or resellers. So don't do it. Don't think about it. Our customers will tell on you and they will stop work and stop payment on whatever it is you got going on when they have realized that you have engaged with a subcontractor that is not authorized to be doing work on that project. We've included the DIR email so you can reach out to any of our team members in the hub office. They can assist you with completing that HSP. Anytime you need to update that, you can. You can update it every week. Please think about that if you truly need to, but you can update it every week, once a month, once every other month, however frequently or infrequently you need to update that hub plan. You also have the progress assessment report or PARS in your contract documents. It states that you will submit a PAR to your customers monthly once you have been issued a PO. Please remember the PAR is separate from the vendor sales report. If you don't know what a PAR is, or if you don't know what the form looks like, we have included the controller link here for your use. and we will help walk you through completing that form for those customers. These documents are owned and controlled by the Comptroller's Office. We are required to utilize these forms, but we cannot change, manage, or update those forms. We also ask that you copy the DIR Hub office email when you submit those forms to your customers. That way we have verification that you have completed this process, and we ask that you do this for several reasons. One, sometimes the individuals that are required to receive those documents changed agencies. Two, sometimes they cannot locate it because they may be new, or maybe it went to another individual within their agency and that information wasn't forwarded. We have a record of the PAR and we can forward it to those customers if they requested it. We've got the DIR Hub email addresses included here for you, and we have the Comptroller links attached. So if you need help with completing or updating your HSP, you can submit to or reach out to any of our team members. We are happy to assist you. Do we have any questions regarding the HSP or PARS? I don't see any. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it over to Tony.
Thanks, Brianna. My name is Tony Tran. I'm a business analyst here in the Contract Services Division at CPO. I'm going to be joined with Ann Texter. She's going to get into more specifics about your vendor sales reporting. I'm going to go over most of the basics, and also we'll finish off with talking about your admin fees and how you're going to submit those. Next slide, please. So the objectives of this orientation that we hope that you get out of this at the end of this presentation, we hope that all your vendor sales contacts, those that would be submitting the reports, including yourselves as the manager, should be able to, one, understand the VSR timeline, how to navigate through the VSR portal, how to correctly upload a compliant VSR. You can't just upload it and hope that it is accepted. It needs to be in that accepted status. So there's some troubleshooting things that you're going to have to take care of. So troubleshooting those basic errors, understanding how to remit payments or how to send payments to DIR for your admin fees, and then what resources you have for assistance. On our website, we have a step-by-step guide to submitting your VSRs. It will make it easier for you to create and submit those correct compliant VSRs. It has a lot of information on there, more than we're going to cover today. So if you go out to our website, you should be able to find that guide. Next slide. I want to remind everyone that if you have any questions, submit it in your Q&A panel here in the Zoom chat, and we'll answer those as we go along. So understanding the importance of your vendor sales report. So VSRs provide data for spend analytics, which includes the total value of a contract or contract type. It tells us the type of goods and services that's purchased and who it's being purchased by. It tells us who our primary customers are, those that are have the most spend on telecommunication goods and services. It tells us about the cost savings through the types of contracts that DIR offers, the cost savings that's realized by participating in these types of contracts. And then most importantly, this information informs state budget decisions and future legislation, which directly impacts both our customers and our vendors and any future solicitations. Okay, next slide. So your contractual obligations, you've already had a specialized webinar talking about your contractual obligations, but just as a little bit of a reminder, your vendor sales reports accounts for all the sales to DIR customers, eligible DIR customers in a given calendar month. And you're obligated to submit that report each and every month through the end of your contract, and beyond that if you have surviving sales. We use your sales to determine the eligible sales, and then we calculate that admin fee based on the admin fee percentage that's listed in your based on the service that's being provided. Again, your reporting is a contractual responsibility that's outlined in your CTSA or your Communications Technology Services Agreement. If you submit either inaccurate reports or admin fees within 3 business days, sorry, let me go back. If you are unable to correctly submit accurate reports, or you have admin fee payments that's late within 3 business days, or delivering late reports on admin fee payments, then you have to contact DIR to provide a corrective action plan. That's the only way that that we'll be able to remediate that. Your VSRs are subject to audit by not only DIR, but any other designated entities, just as such as the State Auditor's Office. Next slide. Okay, so vendor sales reporting, what are they and when are they due? Again, they're due for each of your contracts with DIR, and they are due on a monthly basis. Even if you have 0 sales on it, that report has to be submitted. We hope that you don't have any 0 sales reporting, but that is also an obligation of yours. It has to be submitted between the 1st and the 15th of the following month of the month of sales. And the sales to include on your VSR are determined by the invoice date, not the date of delivery, not the date that the customer reached out to you. It is based on that invoice date. Next slide. Okay, so I put this here as kind of an example for you to visualize what we're talking about. So let's take the month of December. For any sales date that has an invoice date between December 1st and December 31st, that will be on your December vendor sales report. Starting January 1st through the 15th, you are required to submit your report. We ask that you don't wait till the 15th because you might get some issues, some errors, and you might not get it in on time. So be sure to start it early and to make sure that it's accurate and contains all the information that you have. Once you submit it by the 15th, our side will start reviewing reports, and within the month of February, we'll close that month. Typically before the 10th is whenever we close that month, and you'll get an email that says what your final administrative fee is. We ask that you don't send payment until you get that close email. That's super important. Those that will be getting that report is not only the vendor contract manager, but the sales report contact that uploaded that report. So those 2 people are going to get an email saying what your final admin fee is, and that's whenever you submit your payment. So please don't do that before then. Once you get that closed email, you're required to send that payment by the 25th of that month. Okay? Next slide, please. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Ann Texter, and she's going to get into the specifics of your reporting.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony. Next slide, please. So when your contract was set up, you should have someone or a couple people should have received an email with login credentials to the VSR portal. I would highly recommend that you check your spam if you didn't see something. That email is going to come from vsr.support@dir.texas.gov. Also, I'm going to highly recommend that you reach out to your DIR contract managers and make sure that the people set up as sales report contacts are the people that you want to be sales report contacts. If you have an older contract that is expired and this is your new contract, double check and make sure that the people you had set up under the old one are now also set up under the new one. If someone logs in with an email address that they've been logging into for the last couple of years, then they don't see that new contract number in the drop-down menu. That is because they are not set up as a sales report contact under that new contract. So within the next couple of days, please reach out to your contract managers and make sure that the sales report contacts are the people that you want to be able to log in and upload sales reports. Having said that, you are allowed up to 5 sales report contacts per contract. We recommend that you have more than one so that you have a backup if somebody is out sick, on vacation, etc., and the reports do not get submitted on time, they will be late. So you need to have a backup plan and have more than one person able to fill out that report. If at any time you don't have somebody to help you fill out that report, contact me. I will help you get through that process. Let's see, anytime you have changes, if somebody leaves the company or you want to change a contact or a vendor contract manager, communicate with your DIR contract manager to keep your contacts up to date with us. So like Tony said, every month when we close out the month of sales, a close email goes out and it goes to the person who logged in to upload the sales report, and it goes to the email address that you have identified as the vendor contract manager. Those are the only 2 that will get it at this time. The system does not allow for more than that. So make sure that your contacts are who you need them to be. Next slide, please. Once you get your login and you get into the system, you will have the ability to change that temporary password to something that you can remember. And there are instructions on how to do that in the VSR manual, which we will talk about in a little bit. We recommend that you use Chrome or Firefox as your browser, and also to make sure that your pop-ups are enabled. You can also click on a forgot password down the road if you forget your password, and IT will help you get that reset up. If you've tried to log in multiple times and you can't get in, 9 times out of 10, you've probably locked yourself out, and you would need to email bsr.support@dir.texas.gov, and they will assist you with getting logged in. So you'll log in and you'll click on the VSR vendors link. So if you're going to change your temporary password to something that you want to remember, do that before you click on the button that says VSR vendors. All right, next slide, please. This is kind of a snippet of what the dashboard looks like and your options on the VSR dashboard. There will be some notifications at the top. Sometimes we put stuff out there that's really important. So I recommend that you read that notification whenever you log in and make sure that it hasn't changed or says anything new. You have the options on the left-hand side of the screen to download a VSR template. For the you will be downloading the telecom template. You have 3 options. There is an XLS version, an XLSX version, and a .csv. The .csv version is recommended for vendors who are reporting more than 1,000 rows of data. So most vendors use the XLSX version. If you have any issues with getting that downloaded, just reach out to me. Again, and I'm going to repeat this email address a million times over, ict.sales@dir.texas.gov. Also on that download template page, you'll notice at the bottom, you can download the admin fee payment remittance form. And Tony will talk about that later on when we talk about admin fee payments. Underneath download, you've got upload the VSR. So that's where you're going to click to go and upload your sales report. And again, as stated before, if you get out there and you click on the drop-down menu for the contract number and you do not see a contract number that you're looking for, that means that you are probably not listed as a sales report contact underneath that contract. So that's when you would reach out to your contract manager to make sure that you're set up. It doesn't mean that your report's not out there. It just means that you don't have access to view it or utilize it. Underneath that is the history screen. This is a very, very, very important screen. Once you've uploaded your report, it's going to pop up a window and it's going to recommend that you go to your history screen. That will let you know as your report is being loaded, the status that is in. When it'll say submitted, it'll either be rejected, pending user action, or accepted. The history screen, you can also manipulate the dates to look and view at older reports if you need to. Your uploaded reports will be out there always if you need to download one from the past to use it, etc. The history screen is it's a really good page to use. So get into the habit of going there after you've uploaded your sales report. And then we have a lookup page where you can look up customer names, brand manufacturer names, resellers, subcontractors, etc. Probably the best thing for you to do is to use it for customer names. We'll talk about your DIR contract page in a minute that will go over the brands and resellers and subcontractors. But you can go click on customers, and then down there in the search bar, you can type in a few words and hit search, and it's going to show you what the listings that has that data in it. So you can find the exact customer name as it is in the system. It has to be exactly as it appears in the database in order for it to load. Next page, please. The keys to successfully loading a compliant and timely VSR are: start early. If you know you don't have any sales to report for the month, especially when your contract's just starting out and you have to upload a 0 sales report, do it on the first day of that following month. Get it out of the way. Do not wait till the 14th or 15th, because if you run into issues or problems and it comes time to like 4:30, and then all of a sudden 5 o'clock rolls by and your report is rejected, you're probably not going to get assistance with that because it's after business hours. So start early to make sure that you get everything taken care of before the 15th. When you log in, sometimes it may say that the current reporting month is the month that you just went through. That is because we haven't closed yet officially, but that does not mean that you can't start uploading those new reports. So when the first day of that following month rolls around, you can start uploading reports. So for example, this says the summary of the current reporting month is June, but let's say we're getting ready to upload July reports, which start loading on August 1st. Just because the portal says June, on August 1st, you can start uploading those July sales reports. Next thing, do not alter the template. Fill in the blanks. You can add rows, but do not change any of the headers. Do not change any of the tab names. Don't delete the tabs. They're there to help you. If you change anything, your report will not load and you will get an invalid template error. Reference the VSR manual for instructions for any assistance that you need. That's not saying that I can't help you. I am always going to be there to help you, but we'll let you know where that VSR manual link is too. Has a lot of useful data and information out there. Make sure that you follow all of the formatting conventions. Be sure that the report has been accepted. This is extremely important. Your report will not count as being received unless it is in accepted status. If the deadline rolls past and it's rejected and you have not fixed it or corrected it, it will be late. If you've reached out to DIR, if it's our problem that's keeping your report from loading, then obviously if we can't get that corrected by the deadline, we're not going to count you as late. But if you've uploaded the report and it goes to rejected and then you've gone about your business for the rest of the week and just left it in rejected status, it will be counted as late. On that history screen that I talked about, there will be an estimated admin fee, and it'll also show the estimated total. So just use that to double check and make sure. If you think you're uploading a sales report for $100,000, make sure that that history screen says that you uploaded a template of $100,000. And again, it's going to show you your estimated admin fee, but that is not a key to tell you to pay. You need to wait until we close and you get that final close email with your final admin fee. Reason being is that sometimes vendors report sales to customers that are not eligible to buy through DIR. And if you have done so, those sales will be removed from your total, which makes your final admin fee different. So we ask that you wait for that close email before you make your payments. If you have not received that close email by the 10th of the month, reach out to me and we'll see what's going on. Either I'll tell you we haven't closed yet, which is rare, or we're going to have to search and see if we can't figure out where your email went or why you didn't get it. Make sure that you allow for that vsr.app email to come to your email box and not be blocked also. Next slide, please. Okay, so I kind of touched on this, but we're going to go into this a little bit more deep. So when you upload your sales report, you're going to get the person who uploaded it, that email address, you're going to get emails from the system, as do I. I get the same email. So you're going to get an email when you upload it that says you've submitted your report. And then depending on what's in that report and how it all goes, you may get one of the following. It's either going to tell you that it's been rejected, pending user action, or it's going to be accepted. Your goal is that you want it to be accepted. If it's rejected, what you need to do is go to your history screen, scroll to the right, and there will be an error file. Most of the time that error file you will open up and it'll be your report. And at the very end of the report will be an added column, and it's going to tell you what the errors are in each row. Or sometimes there's a text message. And if you need assistance with figuring out how to fix those errors or what's going on with your report, you just email the ict.sales email box. But again, your ultimate goal is to make sure that that report is in accepted status by the 15th. Next slide, please. So this is just a little snapshot. We have a VSR manual. It has all kind of information. It talks about how you can set up your sales report contacts. It talks about how to fill out your report. There are 3 sections. There's one for co-op, one for staffing services, and there's a section for telecom vendors. At the very bottom of the VSR manual, it talks about admin fee payments, and then there is a section that it's a glossary of errors. So you can go in and right click Control F and look up. So if you got an error that says you have an invalid ship date, just go into the VSR sales report user guide and right click, invalid ship date, and it's going to take you directly to that definition. And that's going to let you know why you're getting that message and how you can fix it. Anyway, the link to the VSR manual will be provided to you, and it is a really useful tool. Next slide, please. This is what the inside of the template looks like. You need to complete your sales report based on the instructions. So down below in this screenshot, it's showing you where the instructions examples tab is. That tab has a definition, and it also lets you know what formats, etc., how many character limits for each one of these columns, and it tells you how to fill out each column. It is a really good, useful, quick tab to use versus the VSR manual. Either one are good, but this one is already provided to you in that template at the moment if you need to look something up. Next slide, please. So your DIR contract page, it can be extremely helpful to you in filling out your sales reports. Your contract page is going to provide you with your DIR contract number, which you need to put on the sales report, your vendor name that needs to be filled out exactly as it appears on this page and also in the BSR portal. So in this example, it says AT&T Corp. Period. That is exactly how the vendor name needs to appear in cell B1 on the report. If they just put AT&T, it's going to fail. So this is a good page to use for information like that. It's going to tell you who your vendor contract manager is. I'm sorry, your DIR contract manager. This tells our customers who the vendor contract manager is if they need to contact you for sales information. Brands. So if you look down below, you scroll down under contract details and ordering information, you've got a link to the brands that go under your contract. Again, those are exactly like the customer names. They have to appear on your report exactly as you see them here, which is why this is a good page to bookmark. All of your contract documents are on this page. If you use resellers, they are also listed on this page. And again, they have to be put on your report exactly as they appear on this page, down to the very last punctuation. So this is a really good page to bookmark and use. Next slide, please. All right, for the telecom contracts this time around, things were set up based on multiple administrative fees for different services. So if you look here, you've got the carrier class services have a 4% admin fee. The wireless services have a 2% admin fee, and the telecom managed services have a 0.5% admin fee. Because of that, the system can't do multiple admin fees at one time. So you're going to have to report multiple reports. So if you were awarded each one of these different types of services, then you will be uploading 3 sales reports each month. And they will be differentiated in your contracts by the B-2, B-3, and B-4. If you have any questions about any of that and how that works, why that is the way it is, you can contact your DIR contract manager, but you will need to upload. If you were awarded all 3 of these, you'll be uploading 3 sales reports. If you only had 2, et cetera, et cetera. Next slide, please. So if you're going to submit a 0 sales report, you only need to fill in the header information, which is cells B1, B2, and B3. It'll be your vendor name, your contract number, and the submitted reporting month that we are receiving. The submitted reporting month must be in the format shown here. It's year, month. So it'll be 2022-01 or 2022-07, whatever month it is that we are currently receiving. And again, the month is based on the date of the invoices. So all of your invoices from a particular month. So for example, right now we are receiving July sales reports. So everyone's report, their submitted reporting month is 2022-07. If you put a 6 or an 8, it will not load. If you put it in any other format, it's going to reject. So it has to be in that exact format, and it has to be the correct sales reporting month that we are currently receiving from you. And again, just another reminder, don't modify any of the column headers. As if you have trouble getting your report upload, you might try before reaching out to download a clean template and start fresh. And again, you can add additional lines to include all of the sales. On your reporting template, there is a row that says total. So if you're going to add extra rows, make sure you add them in between row 5 and that total row. Don't delete the word total. That word on the report tells the system when to stop checking rows. If it gets removed, you're going to get an error. So again, you can add rows in between and just make sure that you do not delete that word total. And so to finalize the sales, the zero sales report, you're going to fill in those 3 things and that's it. Nothing else. You don't need to put no sales. You don't need to put anything on row 5 and below. Just leave those all blank. You're just going to fill out your vendor name, contract number, and the submitted reporting month and upload it. There is a checkbox in the VSR portal upload screen that says, this is a zero sales report, and you will check that box. Next slide, please. So the telecom reporting template has 22 columns. You may not need to fill out every single column based on your contract, but this is kind of giving you an overview of what we are asking for. Customer name, again, that has to match how it is in the system. The customer bill to address, in that row, we just want the street address or the PO box, because in the next column, you're going to put the city and then the state. States have to be the 2-digit abbreviation for the state, and both letters have to be in all caps. So the majority of it will probably be Texas, so it'll be capital T, capital X. We can do business with out-of-state customers, so just keep that in mind. If you're selling to somebody in the state of Oklahoma, then it would be capital O, capital K. The bill to zip, you got the sales period, which we're going to go over in just a second. Product item, product service description, publisher manufacturer, which is those brand names that we talked about that you can find on your DIR contract page. The reference number is going to be the customer's purchase order number or the official document that they submitted to you to start that sale. So that reference number is going to be the PO number or the document number from the customer. Invoice number, obviously you guys provide those, invoice date. Okay, now we're going to get into start date. And I think I may have another page on this. I apologize, but I'm going to talk about it right now. So start date. Start date is not the date that service started. The start date on your reporting template is asking you for the date on the purchase order or the date on that document you got from the customer. It is the original date when they issued you something to start that sale with you. That start date will be the same date for that customer every month until that purchase has been fulfilled. So if they issued you a purchase order on August 1st, every month when you report sales for that reference number, that PO number, that start date will always be August 1st until you have completed, if it's a year or 2 years of service. Once that is completed, then you will no longer, you would use, if they were to issue you a new PO, you would use that new start date. But until that purchase order is fulfilled, that start date will always be August 1st, 2022. Every customer is going to have a different start date, so keep that in mind. Order quantity, unit price, extended price, ramp certification. Tony will go over that a little bit. There's a reseller column, a subcontractor column, and then there's 3 additional rows that may apply to some and not all of you, but number of pages, language, and minutes. That's just a quick overview. Again, the instructions examples tab will let you know how each one of these columns needs to be filled out. And I am always available for assistance. Once you get the hang of it, it's really not that difficult. It's pretty easy. Next slide, please. So this is an even bigger picture snapshot of that instructions examples tab. So you just see, for example, here it says customer bill to city, put in city name, do not abbreviate or add punctuation at end. The bill to state needs to be an all cap 2-digit abbreviation. Don't put up or lower. See, it tells you exactly what to do. So it says, for Georgia, it's GA. For Texas, it is TX. So the instructions examples tab is really good. If you want, when you have your first report to do, you want to go ahead and use this and fill out that report. If you want to send it to me first and ask me to look it over and make sure that you've done everything right, I'd be more than happy to do that. If you need me to go over anything with you, we can set up a call. Like I said, I'm always available to help. Next slide, please. So I kind of went over this, but we'll do it one more time. So important columns to note. So the customer name, use that lookup tab to find the customer name. If you cannot find a customer name, though there is a chance that sales have never been reported to that customer before, you might need to add it. Email ict.sales@dir.texas.gov, the customer name and their address, and we will help you figure out if they're already in the system, if they're eligible or not. And if they're not in the system, but they are eligible at that time, then we'll let you know how to go about adding them through the reporting process. The reference number, again, it's the purchase order number or customer reference number. Sales period column. So the sales period has to match the invoice date, month, and year. So you can report current sales that we're receiving, and you can report past sales. There are times when something needs to be credited, or maybe something was overlooked from a previous month. You can report past sales. So if that's the case, you need to always make sure on each row of sales that sales period matches the invoice date, month, and year, and it's in the exact same format as the submitted reporting month. The start date, again, that start date is the purchase order date or documentation date from the customer. It must be a date within the active contract period, and it is not a service start date, but the original order date from that customer. Product service description, do not make it generic. Try to make sure that your description matches what's listed on the PO and invoice for audit purposes. And again, in that instructions examples tab, it will tell you how many spaces and characters that you have limit to that column. I think it's 150, and that includes spaces, but it will tell you in there. Publisher manufacturer, which is the brand's name, they have to match what's listed on your DIR contract page. If you go out there and there's something that is not listed and you think it should be, that's when you need to reach out to your DIR contract manager and discuss that. Maybe it got missed, or maybe it's not under your contract. So if it's not on your DIR contract page, then go ahead and reach out to your contract manager to discuss that. If we find that it got overlooked and it needs to be added into the system, your contract manager will add it, but then it's going to take an overnight data sync for it to appear, which is why it's really important to start uploading your reports as soon as possible, so that if things like that need to be added, we've got the time and they'll get added. And then the following day, you can go ahead and get that report finalized to accepted status. Next slide, please. So this is just another, we're just really stressing that start date. So on the bottom half of this picture is an example of a purchase order from DIR. That purchase order date is February 11th, 2022. So that is going to be the start date for this reference number, which is 00007749. Every month when you report sales for this purchase from this customer, the reference number and that start date will always be the same until that purchase order has been completely fulfilled. Next slide, please. When you're receiving a purchase order agreement document from the customer, make sure that the customers are including your DIR contract number and that they're including the term of service. It's really important that that information be out there and be documented, especially for auditing purposes. And we already went through that other piece. I won't hash that again with you guys. Next slide, please. So some of the common errors that happen on sales reports are invalid customer name. That doesn't mean that the customer is not eligible. The system's not that intelligent to be able to determine that, but all it's telling you is that either that customer name is not in the database or it's not in the database the way you have it on your report. Invalid publisher manufacturer, the same thing. Either you don't have the name on the report exactly as it appears in the system, or it's not listed under your contract at all. Same with the reseller name. An ineligible start date. So again, like we said, the start date has to fall during the time frame that the contract is active. This usually comes into play when a contract has expired and you're continuing to report survivability sales. So let's say you had an old contract and you had a customer send you a PO for like 2 years and your contract expires and they still have like 6 months. So you're going to continue to report those last 6 months of sales on that old contract until that 6 months is done. The start date, which is why I have stressed it has to be the one on your purchase order, has to be a date that was during the time frame that that inactive contract was active. Because if the start date is after the expiration date of that contract, it's going to fail. Invalid extended price. So make sure that the quantity times the unit price on your row equals the extended price. It's a common one that comes up. I know a lot of vendors use data they get data from other vendors, they get data from other systems, and there's copying, pasting, data dumps, etc. I completely understand and I get that, and everybody's different. So we'll work with you to make sure that, everything goes as smoothly as possible. But, these things come up and sometimes Excel is perfect. It doesn't do anything wrong. But sometimes it'll add decimal places, which will cause for the extended price not to be the correct one, which is also why it's important to make sure that that total dollar amount that you thought you uploaded is what the system sees you as uploading. And again, there is that comprehensive glossary of all of these error descriptions in the VSR manual, and it will give you more information than the instructions examples tab. So the glossary descriptions in the manual are going to kind of be more of a troubleshooting assistance to let you know maybe what you did wrong. For example, ship date. The ship date has to be the same day as the invoice date or before the invoice date. It cannot be a date after the invoice date. You can't bill a customer and then, provide them service or ship them. That's how the system thinks. So that, that error in the glossary will kind of give you those rules, so that you can try to figure out why you're getting this error. Next slide, please. So reporting zero sales. Again, like I said, you're only going to need to fill out your company name, contract number, submitted reporting month. The arrows in the upper right-hand corner are showing you that's the only sections that you're going to need to fill out for a zero sales report. Nothing else needs to be filled out. So when you go to upload, you'll see your vendor name will be populated for you. You'll select your contract type. You guys will be selecting telecom for these contracts. If you have more than one contract, you may have some other options in there. The only other two options would be co-op or staffing. but you're going to select the one that you're uploading for. So you would select telecom, and then you're going to select the contract number in that drop-down list. You're going to choose the file from your system to grab it and upload it. And then there's the box that I talked about earlier. It says this is a 0 sales report. So you check that box and then you hit submit. There's a little quippet here about reporting credits. What I would like to ask is that if you need to report any credits, that you reach out to me so that we can discuss it before you do anything, to make sure that it's done properly and everything is done the way it should be. So there is you can read some documentation on it in the VSR manual, but again, if it comes to that point where you need to do something like that, just reach out to ict.sales. We can set up a call and we can go over it and discuss what needs to happen. Next slide, please. So if you are reporting past sales, like I mentioned before, and you forgot something from the previous month, or you've done a credit and it's to a previous month, there's an extra step that has to be done for reporting past sales in the system. It's set up to basically ask you to make sure that you didn't make a mistake or an error with the dates. So if everything on your report is absolutely 100% without a shadow of a doubt correct, it's going to go to that pending user action status. And you're going to be able to go in there and validate that you are indeed reporting past sales. And all that information is in the VSR manual as well. But again, if you come to that point and you need my assistance, I will definitely be able to assist you. It's really quite simple. You would go into the edit online screen. There are 3 categories. So there's, if everything on your report is correct, with the exception of some customer names, past sales, or let's say a reseller name or a brand name, all of those things can be corrected in this online edit tool. So you wouldn't have to like re-upload the report at this point. But if you have any money that's wrong, any dates that are wrong, it's going to continue to be rejected. But like I said, if everything else is correct, it'll go to pending user action. You can go into the edit online tool and make your changes there. So basically what it's going to ask you to do is confirm that you are reporting past sales. You'll get a pop-up box. You'll click yes, and then you're going to click revalidate, and then it will go back through the system as submitted, and then it will say accepted. And again, just, reach out to me if you need assistance, if you get to this point. I know this is a lot of information, and I just want to let you all know that I get it, and I am always going to be there to help you. And as long as you email that ict.sales email box, somebody will be able to help you in case I'm out. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Tony to talk about ramp reporting, unless there's any questions at this time.
Doesn't seem like there's any questions, but again, we're here to help. I did want to go over text ramp reporting. So under column A, I believe, there's going to be a yes or blank field for text ramp reporting. If the product or service that you're listing is ramp certified, then you can put a yes there. If it isn't, then you can leave it as blank. If you need more information on the ramp program, it's very similar to the FedRAMP program. We have a page dedicated online at dir.texas.gov. It has information about what the ramp program is, how it impacts vendors, how you can get certification, things of that nature. But again, on your VSR under column A, it is a column that's labeled as, I believe, ramp certified. Okay, next slide. Okay, we are in the final stretch of this presentation. We're going to talk about administrative fees. So again, your final admin fees is based on the total dollar value on the VSRs that you submitted that are eligible. So if you submit a report and there are some sales that are removed because they were done to ineligible customers, your admin fee is going to be based off of that revised total. And again, as Ann mentioned earlier, if you have multiple admin fees, that is how your admin fees are going to be determined. It's going to be dependent on the structure of your contract. Again, you're going to get an email between the 1st and the 10th of the month following the month that you've submitted your report. So going back to our example, if you're talking about December sales, you're going to submit it in January. Sometime between February 1st and the 10th, you should get an email saying the month is closed, your final admin fee is XYZ. It'll also include any late fees in case there are late fees on your contract, hopefully not. Actually, okay, sorry. Ramp column is column Q, not column A. I think I was thinking of the co-op template. But again, you can always refer back to the template and those instructions. So going back to this, once you get your close email between the 1st and the 10th, you're going to get an email or you are obligated to submit your payment by the 25th. Okay, next slide. So this is an example of what that email would look like. It will be labeled as DIR has closed reporting period for, and it's going to be the month of the month in question, right? And it'll come from BSR app at dir.texas.gov. So make sure that email address is at least whitelisted. And again, it has information about the contract, what your final admin fee is, and whether or not you have any late fees. So again, this email is really important, and be sure to be on the lookout for this each and every month. Next slide. So remitting payments, there's two methods on how you can send a payment to DIR. You could either do a direct ACH payment, or you can do it by check. We highly prefer ACH payment just because of its speed, its accuracy, and what kind of information you can attach with those payments. If you're doing ACH payment or check, we ask that you have you email a remittance form to adminfee@dir.texas.gov. We'll go into the specifics of what that remittance form would look like, but it'll have information as to help our accounting department route your payments. And again, those admin fees are due on the 25th of that month. And again, we can't stress enough how many issues arise if a payment is done before the month has been closed. There's a lot of delays that it causes, and there's a lot of issues, especially whenever you start sending payments that don't match what the final payment is. So just to save yourself time and our staff time, just wait for this email to come out. Next slide. So if you have not set up ACH payment with DIR in the past, you can go to our website listed there, and it will have an ACH authorization form. That's how you're going to get your account number. So when you get that form, fill it out, send it to adminfee@dir.texas.gov. You can always reach out to them if you have any questions on that form or how it works. You should get an account number within 10 business days. And at that point, you can start submitting payment through your bank payment portal. When you submit your payment through your bank, you have to send a remittance form, like I said earlier. Okay, next slide. Okay, so if you have to pay by check, or if you prefer to pay by check, we just ask that you have the contract number or numbers on the memo line and also on the remittance form. It helps us track that payment and make sure that it's getting applied to the correct contract. Regardless of if you do ACH payment or checks, you can combine multiple admin fees if you have multiple contracts. But that's why the remittance form is so important and helps us to understand where to apply that payment across multiple contracts. If you submit payments via check, the addresses are listed there. If you have a regular payment to make, send it to that RPO box at 12728 here in Austin, Texas 78711 with an intention line to accounts payable. If you have an expedited payment that you need to make, you can send it to our physical street address there at 300 West 15th Street, Suite 1300. Next slide. So here's that remittance form. You can find it in the VSR portal. It basically has, the basics of your company, vendor name, contacts, things of that nature. The month of the VSR in reference, that will be on this form as well. And then you can add as many lines as you need to help split out the payments. Okay. Next slide. Again, this is very helpful for your resources or for your reference. These are all the emails that we've been talking about throughout this presentation. If you have issues with your contract, you can always contact your contract manager. That's listed on your contract page. Any issues with your VSR reporting or understanding of it, and text her at ict.sales@dir.texas.gov. Any issues or any questions about your admin fees or how to set up ACH payment, that's at adminfee@dir.texas.gov. Hub information and PAR submissions, PAR submissions, that's at dir.hub@dir.texas.gov. If you have questions about how to anything related to outreach or using DIR logos, you can send an email to outreach@dir.texas.gov. If you have issues with your portal login, like not understanding what your emails are or having passwords reset, things of that nature, you can send an email to vsr.support@dir.texas.gov. And to sign up for our CPO newsletter that has a lot of helpful information, send an email to cpo@dir.texas.gov. Okay. Next slide. And with that, I'll open the floor to any questions. I'm not seeing anything in the panel, although I am seeing a hand raise. I'm not sure if that's an intentional hand raise or not. But if you have any questions, our Q&A panel again is open. All the resources that were on today's webinar, we are here to help. We want to make sure that your contract is successful and that you are a great partner to not only DIR but to the state.
And yes, Bridget, we will provide a copy of the presentation to all the attendees. Yes.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Tony and Tom and Brianna for putting this together for us. I'm Tequila Jackson. You guys, you vendors, I've met with you all in your kickoff meeting. Just wanted to chime in and say, I know your reporting start date was set for August 15th, which is 5 days away. Due to scheduling and all that good stuff and schedules around here, we are going to change that date and make your first report due September 15th. Don't all start clapping and screaming right now and at one time. So you guys have another month before you have to submit. However, if you have sales that you want to report, you can do so. Just let myself or Jeff Booth know so we can go in and make sure that we update the date on the back end here. So again, your first report date is going to be due September 15th. Any questions about that? Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
And yes, Pat, we hope to provide a recording of the meeting as well to the attendees.
It looks like there's a follow-up question for Tequila. If our contract was executed in May, should our first report cover June?
Say that again, Tony. I'm sorry.
If their contract was executed in May, should their first report cover June? As in, should it include not only June but July sales and then now August?
That's correct.
Okay.
And if you, like I said, if you want to report and submit your sales report by the 15th, just let me know so we can get the date changed on the back end. But yeah, if you had sales in June, July, you can submit those on your first report.
So, and I'm going to chime in here. So
Thank you, Ann.
sure. So if you have multiple months of sales to report, which again, reports are based on invoice dates, they will all need to be included on one spreadsheet, one template, and the submitted reporting month has to be the current date of that we are receiving. So if this is the case and you're going to be reporting current and some past sales, just reach out to me and we'll go over that first report so you can get that all taken care of properly. But it'll all be on one spreadsheet. Once we close a month, you can't upload another report for it. So any changes to a previous month that need to be made will need to be made via doing like credits, etc. So again, I'm always available to assist you guys. Just email that ict.sales@dir.texas.gov, and please include your contract number so that I can look stuff up before I reach back out to you and maybe troubleshoot what's going on before I talk to you. So please always include your contract number. Thanks.
Awesome. I think with that, I don't see any other questions. Again, thank you, Tequila, for chiming in and helping close out this webinar. Again, we're all here to help you. And thanks again for attending today. Have a great morning.
Thank you, guys.